Let's start off taking a look at the early 2000s, where you see a rise in anti-immigrant sentiment. Part of this is due to a period of economic downturn. Economic downturn is always going to bring anger against immigrants, right? Because there's always these arguments being made against immigrants that they're taking people's jobs, that they're lowering wages for American workers, that they're not really learning English or assimilating into American society. And so you're going to see all these arguments being made, especially during periods when the economy is not doing so well. And so you're also going to see during this time in the early 2000s a rise in hate crimes, right? Particularly against Latinx people. And part of the reason for these hate crimes is people are being riled up. Okay, you're going to see a lot of anti-immigrant rhetoric being said by politicians, but also on conservative radio. Okay, you'll have talk show hosts, radio hosts that are speaking out against immigrants and immigration, that they're invading our country, that they're criminals, that they're dangerous. And so it gets people scared of immigrants, right? Fearful. That fear factor basically is going to lead to this rise in hate crimes and anti-immigrant sentiment. You'll also see it in social media. During this time in the early 2000s. And so you'll see more and more hate speech against immigrants as well as against Latinx people in chat rooms and on social media. Okay, so all of this is creating a climate of fear and hate, basically, in relation to the issue of immigration. Part of the problem is also that the federal government is not able to pass any type of immigration reform. Okay, they tried in 2007 with the Comprehensive Immigration Reform Act, but that failed. Because of opposition from Republicans, right? Basically, you have Republican politicians who are voting against this and working against the passage of this immigration bill because it includes amnesty, right? And they're trying to avoid that, going all the way back to 1986 when the IRCA, when that created amnesty for millions of immigrants. Since that time, you're having Republicans really opposed to any more immigration reform bills that include amnesty because they don't want to see a rise in immigration, right? Because there was a rise in immigration afterwards, and so they feel that that's just encouraging more immigrants to come to the U.S. if they pass immigration reform that includes amnesty, right? And so that's why you're seeing so much pushback against passing immigration reform. Okay, but since the federal government is not able to pass immigrant reform, you're still seeing a rise in this anti-immigrant sentiment because the issue hasn't been settled yet. In 2008, you're going to see the election of Barack Obama. And Obama had a lot of support from the Latinx community. There's a very high turnout among Latinx people who voted for Obama. So they helped him to get into office. And the hope was that Obama would help to pass immigration reform that would be favorable for Latinx people. All right. And Obama did appoint a number of Latinx people to high positions, particularly within his administration, in his cabinet, as well as to the Supreme Court. You have the example of Sonia Sotomayor, a Puerto Rican woman who was appointed to the Supreme Court, right? This is the first time you have anyone of Latinx descent being appointed to the Supreme Court, especially a woman, right? She's the third woman in general to ever be appointed to the Supreme Court. So that was historic. So in that sense, Obama was showing his support for the Latinx community. You also have the passage of the Affordable Care Act. Affordable Care Act made health care available for millions of Latinx people. All right. And so that was a benefit to the Latinx community as well. So a lot of individuals didn't have access to healthcare because they didn't have jobs that offered them healthcare benefits, right? A lot of Latinx people had jobs that were minimum wage jobs, and they weren't offering these type of benefits. And so that's why you've seen so many Latinx people who were uninsured before the Affordable Care Act was passed, okay? But eventually there would be problems where the Latinx community would have a period of disillusionment with the Obama administration, right? Because at first, there was all this hope that he was going to bring change, but eventually, in terms of immigration, we started to see that the Obama administration was actually cracking down on immigration. And so several of the issues that brought about this disillusionment, one of them being that the Obama administration was not able to really push through an immigration reform bill. All right, that was put off partially because of the Great Recession, which we'll talk about a little bit later, right? So there were other issues that the country was dealing with that Obama had to deal with, and so he wasn't focusing on immigration at this point, and so that was a disappointment for Latinx voters who helped to get him into office. Also, during the Obama administration, you're going to see a massive increase in deportations, right? You see the most deportations ever really taking place under the Obama administration during his first term. Okay, so at first it was like, over 250,000 people a year being deported. Eventually that would go up to 300,000 and eventually to 400,000 people being deported a year. Okay, so massive deportations taking place, and that was a big disappointment for Latinx voters who helped to get Obama elected in the first place. In 2010, you're going to see a number of protests against the Obama administration's immigration policy that will take place nationwide. Okay, and so Latinx voters were letting Obama know that they did not approve of his immigration policy.